I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang a rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.
Hi, I'm Noelle, the host of Pop Punk and Pizza, and today I'm joined by Luvlee. So how are you today?
I'm doing very good. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So first off, tell us where you're from.
I am originally from a city called Stoke-on-Trent, which is in England, Northern England.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So you're a solo artist, right? So do you do the guitars and the drums as well for your music, or is that done by someone else?
Yeah. So, I mean, I write everything and I
Hmm.
co-produce everything I write. I can play every instrument badly. So it's a gift. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. But
Yeah.
I spent the last 8 years of my life living in LA, and I was lucky enough to have a roommate who was one of the best guitar players I've ever met in my life. He went to
Oh, cool.
Berkeley, and we had a really cool dynamic in our house where like we both had studios in our room.
Hmm.
So I would sit in my room, write a song, produce it to the best of my ability, and play really bad guitars, and then I'd send it to him,
Yeah.
and he would be like, "Okay, let me beef this up a bit." So it's good. I can work my way around any instrument, but I'm not a professional at any of them by any means.
Yeah. That's cool though. So your earlier singles are kind of more pop sounding. So how did you decide to transition to more like pop punk? Because I really like the direction you've been taking recently.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So it's a weird journey that I've had with my music. I started off my my music career kind of started about 9 years ago when I joined a boy band. I was with a very pop boy band called Phase Five, and
Okay.
it was one of the most crazy but fun times of my life. I had an amazing time, but it was extremely pop.
Yeah.
So what we did is when we disbanded in 2017, sadly, I had a fan base of pop fans, pop music fans, boy band fans.
Yeah.
And I was in a strange position because my passion has always been in pop punk. That's what I've grown up listening to, and that's what I have
Mhm.
always had in my heart. But I had to do this transition where I wanted to kind of help my fans, or like the people who supported me. I don't want to call them fans necessarily, but people who supported me, I wanted to help transition them with me. So
Mhm.
that's what I did. I kind of slowly started going from that boy band sound into a more I don't want to say mature because that's the wrong word, but of a more of like like a pop punk nostalgic kind of feel to it.
Yeah. That's really cool. I didn't know that you were in like a boy band before, but that's interesting.
Yes,
So what artists or bands inspire or like influence you when you're writing songs?
that's a good question. I mean it's such a crazy question because I feel like it's every single song that I've ever listened to in my entire life that I've said that's good has inspired me
Mhm.
like in some way whatsoever. I think that's just the thing as an artist. I love discovering new music. So when I hear a song that maybe was released like last week, I will be like, wow, that's really inspiring. In the same way as if I hear a song for the first time that was released 20 years ago, I would still have that same excitement about it. But growing up, my mom was a huge Blondie fan.
Mhm.
Blondie is, I personally think, one of the best bands to ever cross walk the
Yeah.
earth. Debbie Harry's incredible. So I was growing up kind of listening to that like 80s pop punk.
Yeah.
And then slowly growing up, I was a huge fan of Green Day, obviously Blink 182, that's a standard. Paramore, I was a massive Paramore fan,
Yeah.
ridiculous. Haley Williams is up there.
Yeah.
Um, just there's so many bands. Mayday Parade was good. So I think like
Yeah.
listening to those bands, I was just a huge pop music fan. So I liked
Mhm.
anything with a really catchy melody
Yeah.
and those power chords. I think what actually got me into it the first time, I might be answering a further question down now, but what actually got me in, I watched Drake and Josh. Remember Drake and Josh?
Yeah, yeah. I used to watch
So
that all the time.
Drake Bell was like my idol for a long time because I remember seeing him play. There was this movie called Drake and Josh Goes to Hollywood,
Yeah.
and this is like what I felt my life was like because I was sitting in Stoke-on-Trent in my hometown watching this, and I
Mhm.
was like dreaming of just going to LA and playing this kind of music, and it was like that was the dream for me. And he played this song called Hollywood Girl, and it was
Yeah.
like kind of pop punky. And I was just like, wow, I want to do that. And that was kind of what got me going.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. But that's kind of funny actually. Yeah, I used to watch that show all the time. And yeah,
Iconic, right?
yeah, it was pretty funny. And I like all the bands you mentioned, and I can kind of hear some of those in the songs that you're writing right now. So that's cool. So I was wondering, how did you come up with your band name? Like, is it just a play
That's a
on your
fun.
name?
So that's a fun story. Okay. So originally, after we broke up from the band, I was going by my name Lee Brown,
Mhm.
which I like. Obviously, is my name. Thank my parents for that. But I had an issue where this is, and not many people understand this, but I had an issue where when I was uploading music to Spotify, it was coming under a different Lee Brown, and I was having a
Okay.
bit of a problem. Um, and also going back to what you said earlier, where the music that I originally was releasing to Lee Brown was very poppy, and
Mhm.
I went through a moment. It was in the start of 2020 as the pandemic hit. I went through a moment where I was like, okay, now is an opportunity to release music through an entity that is not my name. It's something that represents. It's quite unknown. It represents either when you hear it, you don't know if it's a band, you don't know if it's a boy, you don't know if it's a girl. It's
Mhm.
quite an unknown name, unsuspecting name. And also when I was going by Lee Brown, and also when I was in the band, my like fan base were called Loveleys,
Okay.
and that's what they kind of named themselves. So I feel like, and I say the word lovely a lot, and it works. It rolls off the tongue nicely. So I went with it.
Yeah.
I ran with it. I put a few polls up, and yeah, that is the how it happened.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like that's kind of a good name. It kind of it's pretty catchy, I think.
Yeah,
So
good.
you yeah, so you've collaborated with different artists like Julian DeVizio and Liana on a couple of your songs. And I was
Yep.
wondering if you would like to collaborate with any other bands in the future. They could be like big or small.
Gosh, there's so many artists that I want to collaborate with. I've got a lot in the pipeline as well. One of my friends, his name's Brandon Burnett. I did a show with him. Actually, my last show I did in LA, which was in downtown LA. I did it
Okay.
with him, and it was amazing. And we've been talking about doing a song together. I mean, there's so many, all of the artists obviously that I mentioned earlier, like they're all coming back in that old pop punk. You see like Avril Lavigne
Yeah,
everywhere, and
yeah.
all these artists coming back. I would absolutely love to do a song with one of those kind of more nostalgic artists.
Yeah.
But there's a really good scene kind of developing now with artists like Maisie Peters is coming out really good with really good stuff, and it's kind
Mhm.
of got that pop punky feel to it. Upsal is an amazing artist. I'd love to feature her on one of my songs or feature on one of her songs.
Okay. Yeah, I've
Uh,
heard of him.
yeah, Upsal's dope. I'm listening
Yeah.
to her stuff a lot.
Cool. So you're re-releasing your song Obsessed on January 20th, which is Friday this week. And that's really
Yes,
exciting. So can you tell me a little bit about that song and why you decided to remix and remaster it?
yes, of course. So that song I wrote in 2020 during the
Okay.
pandemic, and I wrote it about a situation I was in with my roommate that I was talking about. And we kind of were obviously every during the pandemic, everything we were forced to kind of make everything in house,
Hmm.
and that was the first song I ever did from start to finish, all produced inside four walls.
Okay.
And I released it, and I personally thought it was one of the best songs that I've ever created, or we had ever
Okay.
created, me and Jono. And we uploaded it. And in 2021, we submitted it for review. There was a mixing engineer. His name was DJ Swivel.
Okay.
He's mixed all songs for like Beyonce and all these huge artists.
Oh, wow.
And we submitted the song for him to kind of review on his Twitch.
Yeah.
And he reviewed it, and he absolutely loved the song. He was like, this song is a hit, but it needs work. It needs a little bit of tweaking.
Hmm.
So I decided to take it down and work on it for a bit, release other songs whilst I am working on it, and then when the time is right, I would re-release it. So when I moved back to England at the end of last year,
Mhm.
I worked with a friend of mine. His name's Lee Platt. He lives in the same city as me, and we worked
Okay.
together and we completely remixed it and redid it, and that is the birth of Obsessed version 2,
Okay.
I suppose.
That's really cool. So this version will be like thebomb.com.
Hopefully, it's better. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
worse. I don't know. It's subjective.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to listen to it. So, what
Thank
has
you.
been your favorite venue to play at so far, or like which one would you really want to play at some time in the future?
Good question. Um, my favorite show I've ever done was with my boy band. It was a venue in Orlando, Florida. It was a festival called Playlist Live.
Okay.
It was amazing. It was like a festival where they have like all YouTubers and things like that.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really cool performance. There was a huge crowd and it was just a massive stage, massive production, and it felt really good because everybody there was so supportive. As
Yeah.
far as myself, like performing myself without the band, the Moroccan Lounge was amazing. If you go on my Twitter, my banner is me at the Moroccan Lounge. I
Yeah.
sold it out. I think it was 350 people, and I sold the show out, and it was unbelievable. It was one of the best shows I've ever done. The sound was amazing. The artists I was performing with as well were amazing, and yeah, it was just a great venue. The Moroccan Lounge in LA. If you're there, go and check it out.
Cool. That's awesome. So, what is your favorite song to play live?
Um, oof. I did a really cool. This is not one of my songs, but I did a cool remake of "Sugar We're Going Down Swinging"
Okay.
by Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
That was a really fun to do live. I think it's just when I see them perform live and I see them kind of sing the first word and then hold the microphone out,
Yeah.
everyone's singing along to it. That was just a
Yeah.
moment that I enjoyed. Even though it wasn't my song, that felt really cool. It was a good song.
Yeah.
As far as mine, I have a song, probably "Obsessed," the one that's coming out. I
Okay.
performed it at my last show in LA before, on my first time I released it, should I say? And it had been released for less than a year, and everybody in the room knew the lyrics. It was crazy. It
That's
was a
so
lot of fun.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have any jobs or hobbies outside of making music? Like I know you mentioned you do Twitch sometimes. Um,
Yeah, so I started doing Twitch streaming. When I was in the band, we used to do a lot of like live streaming on a platform called YouNow,
yeah.
and I missed it. I just like kind of connecting to people. So I do that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I also do. I enjoy doing stuff like graphic design work and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like I'm quite an artsy person. I
Yeah.
mix and enjoy mixing and mastering other people's songs. I do that a lot as well.
Okay.
Um, Play a bit of football or
Cool.
soccer is what you would call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is your songwriting process? Like, do you usually write the lyrics first, or do you write the music first, or like how does that usually work?
That that's changed throughout, like as I've kind of developed as an artist. Um, Good question. Okay, so I start probably now if I was speaking to like if I was to write a song right now,
Hmm.
because I have the ability to produce my own music, I'll
Yeah.
probably develop like a what's called a loop, like a 4-bar loop or 8-bar loop, which is just a very generic melody or chord progression, and then I will hum melodies over the top. I'm such a melody driven person, and I think that K-pop is the perfect example of that, where lyrics come so secondary to melody sometimes, especially in stuff like this. Like the amount of
Hmm.
songs I sing the wrong lyrics to and still enjoy the song
Yeah,
because I'm the lyrics over my head just goes to show you how important melody is. So
that's
I'll make
true.
like a loop, yeah, and I will just start humming and mumbling like random words and melodies
Hmm.
out of my head, and I'll record it all down, and then I will listen to this terrible mumble that makes zero sense, but it sounds good, like melodically,
Yeah.
and I will start to put together lyrics that kind of create a story. I will normally have a theme in my head. When I start to create like a chord progression, if it's sad or happy,
Yeah.
kind of where you want to go with it. And I will kind of formulate words and sentences that come to it. But for me, 100% melody first. I think that I've never ever been able to write lyrics on a sheet of paper. I'm just physically incapable of doing it. I have to I have to like do it in the moment. It's a weird, I don't know,
Yeah.
it's weird.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I've heard of other artists doing that before where they kind of just like say gibberish and then they kind of make that into lyrics. So that's cool.
Yeah. It
Have
was
there
I actually one oh sorry.
Oh,
I was
go
gonna say
ahead.
one of my friends one of my friends, she has written on a few like Justin Bieber songs, and she came in over the pandemic. She came in and recorded in my room, and it was the first time I ever experienced somebody of that like caliber as far as like who she'd worked with.
Yeah.
It's the first time I ever like worked in close proximity with them, and she was recording, and we made a beat, and she just got on the mic, and in one take, her name's Fallon King, she's amazing. In one take, she wrote the entire song, like just mumbles, but the entire song was pretty much there, and it was
Oh,
just
wow.
hitting the play button, and all of a sudden she was off, and she just wrote this song, and
Yeah.
it was a beautiful moment, and it was so inspiring because it was just, it was kind of, it showed you that like when a song comes on, she kind of mumbled exactly what she felt in that moment, and there was no
Yeah.
hesitation whatsoever. It was straight from the heart. It was really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I like how that's kind of spontaneous. Um, so yeah, have there been any challenges when you were recording songs or any lessons you've learned so far from recording that you might like keep in mind for your future songs?
Um, yes, I think that the vocal doesn't necessarily need to be perfect. I think that the best vocals that I've ever recorded have
Mhm.
usually been the first try, and it's
Okay.
because they're the most impulsive. And I feel like if you try and replicate, it's something called demoitis, and it's where you record a demo, and that is usually the purest form of that song. That is a song when you're in the moment with it, that you tend to bond with it the most, and that is like your baby. And I think sometimes when you come back to it, it you lose a little bit of that flair, and I think sometimes it might be worth sacrificing maybe the quality of the vocal performance a little bit, just to keep that kind of that initial feeling,
Yeah. Well, cool.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So have there been any weird things that have happened at shows or like when you're on the road or anything like that?
Let's think here. Definitely is the answer to that, but I'm trying to think what
Okay.
has happened. Um, I mean, when I was in the band, we got lost in a lot of airports. That was fun. We always did that. Uh, I played a festival in the UK called Soccer Six. That was really fun. Um, that was like it was a football. It was like a soccer. Sorry, it was a soccer event, and they have like all kind of smaller artists and bigger artists form little five-a-side football teams, and then you
Okay.
would all they would play against each other, and they would
Yeah.
also perform and stuff like that. That was a really cool, like
Yeah.
interesting thing to happen on the road.
Yeah, that sounds like
I've
fun.
we've had I've had mic malfunctions. That's always a
Yeah.
good time. Um, yeah, that mic malfunctions are probably the worst thing that could happen, and it's just hilarious at the time.
Yeah.
I feel like it's happened to me so many times, or like technical difficulties happened to me so many times that now I'm immune to them. Like now I will just laugh at them in the moment.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you think as the artist, you think they're way worse than what they actually are. I think watching it, I think sometimes you don't even notice half the stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes I just don't even notice things, but like if you're like the actual performer, you think people are gonna notice it, but they don't. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's good to kind of like be able to laugh at things. And
I've forgotten an entire lyric. I forgot the lyrics to an entire song before as well. I can remember I
yeah.
just mumbled an entire song. I'm so bad. I'm so bad with lyrics. Like I've never been able to. I can listen to a
Yeah.
song a million times, and I kind of write the lyrics in my head.
Yeah.
The version that I'm thinking of. I write
Yeah.
my own version to the song, and I will just sing that over and over and over again.
Yeah. I'm terrible at like deciphering lyrics from songs that I listen to. Like half the time I don't know what people are saying, but I still enjoy the songs. So uh
Yep.
but yeah, so is there a specific message that you hope people get from listening to your songs, or like what do you kind of hope that people get out of it?
My main thing when making music, and it always has been, and it always will be, is I want people to feel good.
Hmm.
I don't listen to music. I don't listen to music for any other reason than to put me in a better mood than what I'm in the moment. It's always been like that, and
Hmm.
I hope and pray that people listen to my music and it puts them in a better mood. And I think that's exactly why most of my music, in fact, all of my music is kind of upbeat and it's got that really energetic feeling to it. And I think that's important. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much the message that I want everybody to do. I want to get from it. I want everybody to feel good and I want everybody to have a good time. And if I can be the reason somebody's day is better, then I've been successful.
Cool. I think that's a good message to have. And what is your experience with record labels, or are there any specific record labels you'd like to be signed to in the future?
Um, that's a good question. I don't know. I have had experience with record labels in the past, with my band. And I'm gonna be honest, they weren't particularly great.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I mean, I'm enjoying being independent. I love what I think a record label could bring to me. I can do most of it myself.
Mhm.
I'm lucky enough to have taught myself to produce. I can write my own music. I'm just short of kind of the distribution side of things, which is what is the record label is primarily for.
Yeah.
But I think because I'm so blessed, so lucky to be able to produce and write my own stuff, I think it's I'm good on my own at the moment.
Yeah. That's cool. And are you planning on releasing an album or EP anytime soon?
Yes, I have about 50 to 100 songs probably on my Mac at the moment.
Oh, cool.
They're all completely unfinished, but I have so many songs. But this year, I mean, last year I was planning on doing it as well, but obviously there was a lot going on last year. I moved back home
Yeah.
and I was spending a lot of time with my family and stuff. I hadn't seen them in 9 years, so I just wanted to
Oh,
spend as
wow.
much family time as possible.
Yeah.
So I came back home and I did that. This year I have a song coming out this month. I have a song coming out next month. I have a song coming out in March. I've got my first debut performance in London in February as well. So I've
That's
got lots of content
exciting.
coming out. As
Yeah.
far as EP is concerned, I can't have a date, but it's coming.
Cool. I'm excited for that. And since
Me
this
too.
is the Pop Punk and Pizza podcast, I wanted to ask, what's your favorite kind of pizza?
Oh, I wasn't ready for that one. Okay. Also, I saw that you interviewed Wheatus on this.
Yeah, I did.
I watched some of the interview. I was so jealous. I love that song so much.
Yeah,
Um,
he was really cool to interview.
yeah, I bet. Um, my favorite kind of pizza, it has to be some kind of white base, like an Alfredo base. Controversial, I know.
Yeah.
White. I kind of like white with white base with maybe some mushrooms and chicken. Actually, no, I like ham and pineapple.
Oh,
That's my
okay.
final answer.
Yeah, that's pretty
I'm going Hawaiian.
controversial.
I'm going Hawaiian.
I mean, I like pineapple pizza, but I don't know. After like one slice, I'm like, it's a bit too much for me. I don't know. My favorite is
How are you with
margarita
calzone?
pizza. Huh?
How are you with calzone?
Oh, calzones?
Calzones, yeah.
Yeah, I love them. I think
Okay,
they're really
yeah.
good.
I just got back from Italy. I was in Italy I was in Naples actually, which is the home of the pizza. I was in
Yeah.
there in just of September, and we had a literal margarita pizza. And I usually when I go for the craziest pizza that's on the menu, I'll go for whatever the spiciest, most filling pizza that's
Yeah.
usually on the menu. That's the one I go for. But here,
Okay.
because it was obviously the home of the pizza, and I asked the guy, I said, "What is your best recommendation?" And he said, "Go for the margarita."
Yeah.
And I had a margarita pizza. It was the best, thin crust, crispy on the
Mm.
bottom, juicy on the top. It was delicious. I highly recommend if you want a pizza, just go to Naples.
Oh, I mean, it's kind of far for me, but yeah,
Yeah, it's a
that
long
sounds
walk.
really good though.
Yeah.
So when is your next show?
Next show on the 24th of February. It is in London, in Camden. And
Okay.
like I said, I haven't performed in London since my old boy band in 2016.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous, very nervous and apprehensive because I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I don't know how different London crowds are going to be compared to LA crowds. I can only cross my fingers and hope that they receive my music well.
Yeah.
Because I know that punk was started in like California and then
Hmm.
West Coast America. So I know that it's quite far from what a lot of people in England listen to.
Hmm.
But I'm here to represent, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And where can our listeners find your music?
They can find my music on Spotify, Apple Music, all streaming platforms. Just search for Luvlee, Luvlee, and you can literally find it anywhere. You can go on my Instagram, and I post everything on there as well. Isn't he lovely? ISNTHELUVLEE. I was so happy when I got that username. So on TikTok as well.
Okay, awesome. And is there anything else you'd like to plug or mention about like upcoming music or anything before we go?
No, other than I don't know when is this getting released?
Maybe like by the end of this week.
Okay, I just didn't know if my song would come out. I have a song coming out on Friday. It's called Obsessed. Make sure you go and stream it. It might be out now or it might be coming out. But go and search Obsessed by Luvlee on Spotify. Please stream it and let me know what you think. Find me and yeah, let me know what you think. I'm excited.
Cool. All right. Well, it was so nice talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to do the interview and everything.
Thank you, Noel. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. It was great. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed
of
it.
course. All right. Have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.